Oh. We'll give it a couple of seconds. Sorry, guys. If you're currently here at the moment, just give us a couple of secs while people join, get into the stream, and then we'll finally kick it off in a couple of minutes. Yeah, if you just joined us now, give me a couple of secs, get everything prepared, making sure everybody's here in the lobby, and then I'll kick things off with you guys momentarily. Actually, just while I'm kicking things off, welcome to PSGL 2 on a Monday night. It's 7 PM and it's your boy Lordy-MK back at it again with some Formula 1, and here we are. It's round number 9, I believe. Round 9, Italy, or also known as Monza. And we are here. The turnout isn't too bad. 15 drivers on the grid. That isn't too bad for F2. I know we've got a few people missing, and we've got some new drivers joining us tonight. We'll go through them in a second. I'll run you through the table very, very quickly. It was an eventful evening last time out with myself and Big C, who accompanied me back then as well. So we'll just run through the standings, because CC Brain, even after a bit of a shoddy performance at the Hungaroring, maintains the lead of the F2 Championship on 62 points. We've also got Black Phoenix very, very close to that man's rear end with 61 points. We've also got Toxic Tomato not out of the running yet. He a bit of a bottle job on Hungary. He even said himself he wasn't really up to snuff in terms of pace, but hoping to bounce back here at Italy, and he's on 48 points. Then we have a tied wait, hold on. That is right. Sorry about that. I'll just have to check something. Then we have Wommer, Greeny, Raikkonen, Josh, and TTG Tom, all separated by 2 points. The midfield, that is from 4th to 8th. As you would see on the PSGL Twitter, you will see how close the battle for the midfield is. Obviously, Wommer has retired, and he's still in P4, which is very interesting indeed from some of these drivers. But yeah, VRT Raikkonen took the win last time out in the Hungaroring, and it was a fantastic performance from himself, doing the alternate strategy compared to the other guys out there. And you know, when you're doing the alternate strategy, it really does pay dividends when you've got the pace and you can just keep with the guys on the mediums. And he did. He kept with the guys in the mediums, kept the gap very, very low, came out of the pit lane and carved through the field like a hot knife through butter. It was a pleasure for myself and Big C to watch at the time. And also, he did some Daniel Ricciardo overtakes into turn 1 to really spice up the field, which is very nice to see. Somebody really, really going for it, having the desire and the determination to show people what he's capable of, especially around a track like Hungary, where it's so difficult to overtake. But it wasn't just him who put on a good performance. We had good performances from Dutch, which was his first ever Grand Prix in F2 leagues. I believe he does league racing in other leagues as well, so he did have a bit of experience coming in to the race, but he did a fantastic job, and I believe took P3 due to a penalty and allowed Black Phoenix to take P2, which is brilliant for Black Phoenix's championship hopes. And obviously, like I said before, Black Phoenix has moved himself up into second place, and it is 1 point behind CC Brain, so it is very, very close at the top of the table. And it's really nice to see some of these drivers really putting their heart and soul into F2 in the latter stages of the year. F2's been a bit of a hit and miss league for a lot of people, but it's really showing its pedigree now, especially after the winter break. It's really, really stepped up a gear, and it's nice to be a part of it. Obviously, as you can see on the screen, here's the drivers that we have tonight. We've got CC Brain, Oliver Vell, Luke Usgreenus, also the admin of Formula 2. We've got Josh, TTG Forbes, we've got Skeven, Toxic Tomato, Pit Matt, Samster, Thomas, Silas, Tico, Dutch, Alfioli bringing up the rear, and obviously myself as the commentator. And Alfioli, also known as that IRT underscore Alfie, that man right there. He is the new driver this evening that will be, what's the best way to, really forcing his pedigree onto the field. He decided he didn't really enjoy F1 that much and felt that it was just not, he didn't really feel like he was competing enough with some of these guys, and he asked for a move down, and he got his wish. Alfie only level 37, even I'm higher level than him and Formula 1, so that shows the lack of practice this man does. But even with the lack of practice, Alfie is just a brilliant racer and really does push the boundaries when it comes to some of his overtaking manoeuvres. It's brilliant to watch, especially from the commentator's point of view, as my phone persistently decides to ring. Thanks for that mate. But yeah, it's currently 7:02. I don't know if we're waiting for any drivers currently, but we're just waiting a few extra minutes, I believe, for one straggler that's running a bit late. I'm not too sure that is. I will inform you guys as soon as I know more information. But let's talk a bit more about Monza, the Italian circuit, the fastest circuit on. One of the fastest circuits where the F1 car can drive upon. It is basically 3 straights merged together and slapped together to form a circuit, and it is one of the most high-speed, brilliant circuits to race on, especially in these new modern cars, because the downforce with these wider cars is amazing. It's ridiculous, and obviously you've seen thrills and spills here at Monza in real F1 and in previous F1 races. I remember myself in F1 back in the day, I took a 2nd place in the McLaren when Big C had a 4-race ban. So I've had some glory Lordy boy in some of these races before, especially here at Monza. So it's one of my preferred tracks on the calendar. Very wide, very fast pace, you can overtake, and it's going to really test these drivers' capability to concentrate for such long periods of time. A lot of people say, oh, Monza is not too difficult. Some of these chicanes are very hard on the tyres and the curbs, especially as Ascari really do catch these drivers out. So it will be very interesting to see who can master the Monza track tonight in Formula 2. We are kicked off for qualifying. I'll give myself a chance to breathe before we get it underway and do all the settings to make sure everybody knows what's going on. Not too sure on the strategy around here. I believe it'd be medium hards, again the same as Hungary. Don't quote me on that, it may be soft hards. People might gamble, not too sure, but I do believe medium hard is the way to go. Obviously some people getting their setups out already, really bringing the heat here in Monza. Obviously we'll see what the weather has to say as well. European track, so we're not too sure what the weather will be saying. The European weather is very iffy, and if you're from England or some parts of England now, it is torrential rain and wind. So let's hope we don't get that here at Monza. We like to see fast-paced races and fast driving and not slow clunky messes, which it will be, I think, if it was full wet around here. But a lot of people opting for the mediums straight away. A lot of people just waiting in the pit lane. We've got Pit Matt, Josh out on the outlap on the softs, Pit Matt's on the mediums, and we've also got Tico in the Ferrari out as well. We're also seeing more drivers come out. We will flick to these guys in 1 second when I can get my bearings, just to see where people are around the track. Look at that, all clumped together very close. It's nice to see. We've also got CC Brain coming out. Luke Green, I think, will make an appearance later on in this session, but Josh, I believe, will start us off. So, Josh, you have the honour, mate, of driving this Monza circuit all to yourself. He's got all the clean air he could wish for, and he's got every single viewer watching at the moment. Thank you to the 8 viewers that are tuning in at the moment to this Monza qualifying session. Obviously, I'll be joining you guys for the next hour and a bit, I believe, for the F2 commentary. So stay tuned. Hopefully, it will deliver some fascinating racing. But anyway, through the parabolica he comes, joshing across the line, activating DRS, 230 miles an hour. The cars can reach down here, but maybe a bit lower wings for Josh as he brakes heavily for turn 1, cuts the curve very nicely actually, but gets a bit of oversteer on exit as he comes through the Curva Grande as David Croft normally says, good old Crofty, fathead, as I call him. It's not Curva Grunt, it's Curva Grande. If he, you know, could pronounce words properly, that would be very nice, but unfortunately Crofty's a bit of a useless man. Anyway, through Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2, Josh looking very smooth on the softest compound available. Not too sure if it will be quick because it is the first lap time we are going to see, but through the forest section now as the trees dwindle over the track and the tunnel really hinders the view, going into the start of Ascari now, and he's really ringing the Williams to pieces, but it's very smooth, gotta say, through Ascari, not taking too much curb on the exit, and he's really revving that engine to the maximum as he comes down to the famous Parabolica where Kimi Raikkonen unfortunately spun and crashed. I believe it was in qualifying in the Alfa Romeo, and Josh isn't going to set the lap, or is he? Yeah, he just took a weird line through Parabolica, and it's a 1:18.9 for that man right there. I believe Pit Matt was the next one, and he's 14th, but he's backed off. So we are going to see where people go as Black Phoenix is going through. Silissa Guard coming through. We've got Tico going pole position on an 18.7, so fantastic from Tico as we're going to go on board with the Renault of Forbes to take us through the lap. I believe some people will finish the lap before him, but I think some people have bailed, and oh, that's got to be a corner cut for Forbes. If it isn't, he's got away with it, but oh, he's lost it, Forbes. Oh, good save from the Renault driver. Nearly ended in tears at the end of Ascari. Like I say, these curbs are deadly as we see people filing through. Ollie Flavel and Silla Sagard setting 18, an 18.9 and a 19.1 respectively on the soft tyres. So people really wanting to get out there and finish their laps very quickly. Who else are we going to go on board with? Luke Green. I think he's on a lap, and I think he's going to get a slipstream off his teammate. These two love a good choreographed qualifying lap, and here we are again. Gives him a bit of dirty air for the second Lesmo, but Lucas Greenus is on the charge. Here we go. CC Brain being the best teammate so far. Luke Green getting massively dragged along through Ascari. It's perfect from Luke Green. He's really turned it up to 11 in the second half of the season after the Christmas break. His Hungary pace was fantastic. It's a shame he picked up a few penalties. He finished P4 in that race, and he's looking to repeat that form here at Monza. Through the Parabolica he comes, very tight on entry, and not too much revs on the exit, or you will burn them rear tyres out. But here he comes, Lucas Drinas to the line. Will he beat a 1:18.7? He will, with a 1:18.7 of his own. So Luke Green, pole position, fantastico from Luke Green there. CC Brain obviously being a good cog in the Red Bull system to give him a bit of an advantage. We've also got Alfie Ollie getting out of the way for this man Skeven, who I believe is doing multiple laps on this set of mediums just to have a feel for the track, just to see where he can plant himself. As we've got people out on their uplights now, like Dutch in the Ferrari, who was actually in the Williams last time out, so I don't believe he has a full-time seat yet. He may be a reserve. I'll let the admins clarify that just to make sure. But he is in the Ferrari this weekend, so a major upgrade for Dutch, actually. I think well deserved after a very good debut performance. P3 he finished in that race. I believe P2 on track, but he did unfortunately get one penalty or a couple of penalties, which did cost him at the end of the race. But you know, can't be too upset with that podium on his debut. It's brilliant. Max Verstappen-esque from Dutch there, obviously from the same country as well, so really replicating probably his idol in F1, I do believe, if he is a Max Verstappen fan. I'd be surprised if he isn't. But not enough about Max Verstappen. We're on about the Dutch man in front of us right now in the Ferrari. As he comes down the long straight into the first chicane, he's really giving it everything. His foot is firmly planted in that Ferrari. He's always second guessed himself through the chicane, and I think he's messed up the exit there. Not too clean for Dutch through there on this lap. Through the Curva Grande he comes, and it's going to be a fantastic Curva Grande. Look at that, stays well clear of the inside, shortening it as much as possible. Into the second chicane we go. Not the best of camera angles. He's nearly in the gravel. Corrects some oversteer as well, so Dutch maybe not favouring this track to the likes of Hungary as he double upshifts into the first Lesmo, and then the second Lesmo takes it in fourth gear, really gets in the power very quickly and gets straight onto the DRS straight very nicely as the trees overlap each other in the dusk part of the track. A lot of foliage in the way for the Ferrari driver. Very nice through Ascari, not taking too much curb on the exit. Oh, he's just had a bit of a moment. just to show you how deadly Ascari can be when you take such raw speed through there, but Dutch held it tremendously. The number 34 now through Parabolica. Here he comes. He's in 5th gear. He's in 6th gear. He's revving it to the max. He's used every single last drop of his ERS, and to the line Dutch goes P7. So not too bad from him. Probably could be better, but it's a solid start. It is a solid start as we do go on board with the mustard coloured Renault, or Renault as people like to say. He's got it in overtakers even through Ascari, so pardon me, that is brave for Forbes to take that with overtake ERS. He's gone a bit wide at Parabolica though. It's definitely going to cost him on the exit. He's just not carried that speed through there. He may give up on the lap. No, he's going to take a nice tight line to the line, and Forbes goes pole position. And there's even more time in there because that Parabolica didn't feel the best, or didn't look the best from my camera. I don't know if it was just a bit of lag or glitch from myself, but Forbes taking P1 in the Renault, so fantastic job from him. And now we're going to watch CC Brain round here. You know, Monza very famous for qualifying sessions. It's one of the most demanding tracks of G-Force around, and it's really showing some of these drivers really trying their best, as CC Brain is now getting a tow from Lucas Greenus through the Curva Grande. He goes, and Luke, he's gonna have to get out of the way, but does it beautifully, choreographed to perfection. Takes a lot of curb on the entry and on the exit. Fantastic, but a twitch of oversteer as Luke Green blazes past the chicane, and they're gonna do it again. So here they come. CC Brain, a lot of curb on exit. You don't want too much curb on there, or it will compromise your exit into the Lesmo 2. But through Lesmo 2 he comes now, and DRS open down this long straight, and look at this, more help from the teammate. CC Brain really thanking his teammate for the support that he's given, but the rear end of that Red Bull really looks unstable. But anyway, he's going to carry on. It could be pole position for CC Brain. We're going to keep on board with him through the Parabolica. Does he get it nice and tight to the apex? He does. CC Brain, one of the best Parabolicas I've seen in this qualifying session. And in the Red Bull, Tagger sponsored. He comes across the line, and it's only P6. Disappointing from that man. And obviously Cameron is about to start his lap as well, so we will go on board with him in a second, just to see if there's anybody else coming down the straight. I don't think there is at the moment. There's a lot of people peeling into the pit lane, not having a very good time. I think Toxic Tomato, sometimes I call him Cameron, he was also known as Toxic Tomato, will be on a lap as well. I'm not too sure if he's ahead of Luke. No, he's behind him, so we will go on board with Lucas Greenus, who's currently in P number 3. And very close to the pole position lap time. Obviously that Lesmo 1 felt a bit jaggedy and a bit clunky from Luke Green. He's also going through Lesmo 2 as well, really ringing the Red Bull engine. Sorry, the Honda engine of the Red Bull, really ringing it around the second Lesmo as he comes down the straight. Obviously CC Brain opting to stay in the slipstream just to give Luke that advantage. He's taking the first bit, but he's a bit wide for the second bit. He's going to take a lot of curb, and Luke Green's nearly gone off. I don't know if it's invalid. He's going to carry on anyway. He's probably lost time, so it wouldn't have been invalid, and Luke's really going to push now. I'm not too sure if he will improve after that slight mistake from him there. He's going to downshift to 4th gear, but it looks a bit untidy from Luke Green, especially at the last stages of the lap, and he does box. We're going to go on board with Cameron now. Not too sure if he's going to box as well. Yep, he is miles off. As we see a Ferrari taking a very wide line. Is he going to cross the line? It is Dutch. He is on his out lap and about to start one. So we will stay on board with him later on in his lap. Just scanning through the field very casually to see where people are. I think Pip Matt is the closest man out there. Is it Pip Matt, the furthest man round there? I believe it is. He's going very slowly though. Same with Skeven, but Black Phoenix isn't going very slowly. Yeah, Black Phoenix is ahead of Dutch. We haven't had or seen a lot of Black Phoenix throughout this session. We're going to change the camera, give him some lovely dynamic camera angle. Look at the sun glare there. Fantastic. Well done, Codemasters. Fan-dabby-dozy. I'm not too sure how we took the Ascari because the broadcast camera sucks around this track. But anyway, we will continue. Black Phoenix hasn't set a representative lap time so far. A 122.3, definitely not the calibre of pace this man shows. He was in F4, I believe a season ago he was in F4. Yeah, it's not been that long, Lewis. And he is actually going to bail on this lap, so it doesn't feel that he's done enough to improve on his lap time, or may have got invalid at Ascari. Not too sure. Got people on their out laps now. Josh is also going to peel into the pit lane just to see. I think Dutch was on a lap, or is he starting one? He's about to start one. So we've got Dutch, we've got Skeven, who is on a lap at the moment, and I believe his teammate is going to start one next lap as well. So let's go on board with Skeven as yeah. Let's go on board with Skeven as he bites the dust here at Monza over that hump. Not really what you want to be going over in a fragile Alfa Romeo. Probably going to damage the floor, if anything, of the car. Skeven obviously not very impressed with himself there. Dutch has pitted after his lap, so who else is out there? We've got Silas Agard out there, who's giving it some welly. He's taken a nice, oh, very nice chicane. Bit of a switch of oversteer on exit, but really kept the car nice and straight and got the momentum through the first Lesmo. He's shifted a bit early, I think, there for Silas. Now you want to get down into fourth gear. Shifted a bit early there, but it is to do with the traction. So Silas might be doing a master stroke as he comes now through the tunnel, under the bridge, and through Ascari. Oh, has he got away with that? I'm not too sure. Oh, and Silas is round anyway, so it won't even matter, as Silas is the first victim I've seen to come a cropper at Ascari and into the wall. Silas was, if he would have got away with it on entry to Ascari, then it would have been a miraculous lap. But unfortunately for Silas, he has bitten the dust. Right. As I clear my throat for what's going to be the qualifying shootout, as TTG Tom, who unfortunately had a disconnection very late on in his Hungary campaign. He was P2, I believe, running on the hard tyres, did the normal strategy that everybody does, medium to hard, and ended up his controller disconnected, which retired him from the race from a P2 podium, which he was obviously, I think anybody would be very upset about, and obviously expressed his feelings in the chat, which everybody couldn't really blame him. It was horrendous from Codemasters right there. But anyway, regardless of what happened last week, you've got to clear your mind and you've got to clear your body, cleanse the soul, as I like to say, as he's in overtake through Parabolica, very neat and tidy, clip the curb on the entry, but he's going to give up on the lap. So Tom not feeling that lap time, even though pushing all the way. Does come into the pit lane now. So who is the first man out? Is it Pip Matt? He is far round his lap. Skeven's just come out of the pit lane, and CC Brain's quite far as well. But we're going on board with the Soul McLaren, I believe, on this grid. Yep, the Soul McLaren. Obviously, Cameron Anderson, I'm not too sure if he's left the league or if he's retired or whatever, but he's had a pretty shocker of a season anyway. So I believe it's time for some people to, to recuperate. I think it's nice to have a half a season off and then come back to F1 when you're nice and fresh and ready for some action and for hungry for some battles. I think some people need to take a few breaks and look at themselves in the mirror and think, you know what, let's have a break, let's recharge and come back bigger, better, faster and stronger. And Cameron Anderson, I believe, will be taking a break. I'm not too sure or how long for, but I wish him all the best wherever his endeavours take him. But we're not talking about Cameron Anderson anymore. We're talking about Pip Matt. He's currently in P15, hasn't set a valid lap time yet, has no teammate for the support. But here we go. He's going to try his damnedest to do the best he can. He's taken a lot of curb, not too much curb. I'll just correct myself. They're not too much curb going into turn one. I've seen drivers take a lot more, and it has helped them out going through the second part of the chicane. But through the Curva Grande. Right, now up to the outside line, the track kind of flows to the outside, then cuts back for the inside because you've got a left-hander chicane. He's a bit tentative through there, but nails it very nicely. Just looked a bit hesitant coming through there as he goes into the first Lesmo. Doesn't take a lot of curb on the outside. Not many drivers have been opting for that line. He will take a lot of curb into the second Lesmo though, because you need all the track possible to just unload the battery through the back straight now. DRS wide open, fifth. It's mode 5 on the ERS, and he's not cut the curb enough there. That's going to cost him at least 4/3 of a second, but it's very clean from Pit Matt, it must be said. He's got plenty of ERS left. He might even have too much ERS left, I'm not too sure, but he's going to stick it in hot lap, and he's turned in way too early for Parabolica. He's really struggled with that, and he's also ran wide for good measure. It's not been the best lap from pit Matt. I don't think he's got enough fuel for another one, but it's P11 anyway, so not too bad. Can do the alternate strategy and really get at people on the mediums at the start, hopefully. I'm just going to scroll through just to see where people put themselves. I believe CC Brain's already finished his lap and is actually going to get out of the way because he's not finding the pace round here, and I think he's just compromised Alfie in the Renault. I'm not too sure. Alfie all over the place with the chicane, not too sure if it was being compromised or what, but not too good from himself. Tico is about to start a lap as well, so it's really a qualifying shootout now, as we're going to see Black Phoenix on the medium tyres. So Black Phoenix is going to come across the line with the mediums on just to see what he can set, and it's not a very good lap time, so he may be going for another one. Not too sure. Pit Matt has already finished his lap, so we can't go on board with himself. Silas is bailing on his lap, so Silas is his qualifying session is over. He wasn't good enough, and Tico's actually out of the race. So what's happened to Tico? I'm not too sure if he's just retired on track or if it's the end of the race for him, end of quali, sorry, for him. I'm not too sure. Pit Matt actually giving Alfie a bit of slipstream, I think. You see CC Brain giving Luke Green a bit of slipstream. So Luke Green's the man to watch. He's currently third at the moment, and he needs a 10th of a second to get pole position. Here he comes now through the Parabolica. Very nice line through Luke Green. He's obviously had assistance from his teammate. He's going to come across the line. Lucas Greenus to the line. Oh! Matched his fastest lap time, but couldn't improve, unfortunately. And obviously it's cost him. Now we're going to go on board with Alfie Ollie. He's currently 6th, but doesn't feel that lap will improve, so bails into the pit lane. We've also got Josh now coming through to see if he can set a fast lap, as TCG Tom goes quickest on an 18.6. Is that an 18.6? It is an 18.6. And Josh, well, he's just binned it in the wall on purpose at the Parabolica, so if anybody wants to have a look at that, I'm not too surprised really. We've got Black Phoenix skulking around at the back. Dutch has finished his lap, and I believe everybody else has completed qualifying. So the two TTG boys are going to take 1 and 2, the front row of the grid for this race, and very tight, has to be said, for qualifying as we go on board with first place man, the Grande Premio d'Italia. There we go. And Josh has a 5-place grid penalty, so that will promote Dutch to P10, but he will also get fresh tyres, so Dutch will be the man to watch, I believe, on the alternate strategy. But look at the time separating the top 7, 0.2 of a second separating the top 7. Josh binning it in the wall. I'm not too sure what people feel about that. Obviously, yeah, I think he would start on his worn tyres, but I'm not too sure. Now he's binned it in the wall. I think the stewards or the admins will have to have a look at that. I will inform them afterwards. Well, yeah, there's your grid. Not too bad, that has to be said, for these guys. Very close qualifying session. Let's see what the race has to offer. As I collect my thoughts, might have a bit of a drink as well, just to get the juices flowing for this lovely Italian Grand Prix. Oh, lovely jubbly. Brilliant. So just wait for the drivers to alter setup strategies and fuel loads before the start of this race. I was just going to say, start of the formation lap actually gives me a chance to eat my lovely pork chop I cooked myself, but completely forgot I had comms. And obviously my tea's gone cold now, and I'm a bit sad. So, yeah. Can we get a tear emoji? Yeah, the crying face for me with me cold tea. Right, that'll do for my little break before the race begins. 27 laps round Monza. Here we've got tonight Formula F2. Can CC Brain maintain the top spot in the F2 Championship, or can the likes of Toxic Tomato and Black Phoenix put him under pressure tonight? None of them are in the top 5 for tonight, so it is going to be a battle between drivers maybe in the mid-fight, like Luke Green in 4th position, and also Thomas wanting redemption for what happened to him last time out. Obviously here are the compounds that everybody will be using. Josh is starting on the softs, so that's very controversial what he did on his qualifying lap. Here we go though, everybody else, the top 10 on softs, and the medium runners all below top 10, excluding the likes of Josh because he had a penalty. But here we go as we see the last driver, Samster, lining up on the grid. We're going to go on board with Tom to start us off. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights here at the circuit Monza in Italy, and it's lights out and away we go. It's a decent start from all of the top runners. We're going to see some movement from a Racing Point and some Toro Rossos down the grid, but look at Luke Green, he's all over the front runners. He's from 4th, he might even take 2nd. It's fantastic from Luke Green, but TCG Forbes has the traction on exit to maintain 2nd position. We've also got the Racing Points going neck and neck up Ollie Flavel, who's dropped a few positions at the start. Toxic Tomato's actually going to go past his teammate to really put the dominance on him for the rest of the season. And through the midfield, we've also got Alfie making up a position as well in the Renault, his debut for this F2 league. An F1 driver, as we know. We've got yellow flags in sector 2. Has anybody had an incident? I'm not too sure. I'm just going to scroll down, and Samster is miles behind, so that man has done no practice and I think has just come for the lols. But anyway, continuing on, we're going to look at further down the grid as Black Phoenix is challenging pit map for the likes of 13th on the medium tyres. And we've also got everybody nicely in single file. Here we go though, through Ascari. It's so deadly. Is anybody going to bite the dust? No. Josh has made up a few positions as well on the softs, so he is in the running like everybody else now. Right, here we go. Oh, is that Ferrari? That's Tico going sideways through the power goal again. Oh, he's hit. Oh, I think it was Cameron he's hit. Yeah, he's hit Cameron. Toxic Tomato because making a mistake on the grass, and they're both in the pit lane. Oh, it's shocking as he actually pushes him through the pit lane as well. As we've also got Black Phoenix going neck and neck with Pitmat on the medium compound tyres. Here we go, down into turn 1. Will Pitmat brake later to regain the place, or is it going to be neck and neck? Oh, he gets shoved on the grass and tries to do a switchback, but it's not going to work, and Pitmat retains 9th position as the collision happened earlier ahead. Tico braking on the grass, I believe, going through the parabolica and sideways through the corner, which is not the right line you want to be taking, as Josh also clips the grass as well. So people really do need to be careful. It's more of a race of survival than anything else. But look at this man, Alfie Ollie. We've got 20 viewers, so welcome to this fantastic F2 race at the moment, as we've already seen thrills and spills, and it's only been lap 1. So crazy times for everybody involved in the F2 race, including myself as the front runners bridge a gap to Luke Green. Alfie does look like he's got the pace around here, even though he hasn't really done any practice. And oh god, Alfie, be careful on exit. It is deadly. We know Ascari can wipe even the most decorative of drivers out. I think Big C's had a few mishaps there. One of the most decorative drivers on the field, also Iran, and you got to mention myself with my title back in the day, you know, giving myself a bit of a plug. But anyway, regardless of what I've done, it's about these guys, the new generation. Well, I say the new generation, I'm only 19, so I'm still young. But anyway, carrying on as we see Forbes and Tom battling up ahead. Forbes just set the fastest lap of the race. I think them two will work together, obviously being in the same team. Forbes setting the fastest lap of the race and getting the job done quickly, but I don't think Tom really put up too much of a fight and would rather just stay in the slipstream, stay in the DRS and have a nice, easy, clean race to start with, which is what is happening currently, as we see the likes of CC Brain getting caught up with an accident as well down there in 15th. So the championship leader is all the way down in 20th place. Just to put an emphasis on that, CC Brain is at the back of the grid and has everything to play for. I'm not too sure what's happened there to CC. He's 15th at the moment and he is in no man's land, which is such a shame for CC. He is carrying on though, as a good man should, And he's really... Oh, and Alfie's nearly lost it through the Ascari chicane. He's had to just correct himself as obviously Greeny's catching the likes of Forbes. So Alfie, I don't know how. I don't know how Alfie saved that into Ascari and keep it out of the gravel, but he has. So a fantastic save from Alfie, but he's really got to be careful now because he's got the red Racing Point breathing down his neck. I don't think he'll have DRS either. It's 1 second, so he might get away with it. I'm not too sure. He really does need the DRS around this track. It's slipstream heaven down this track, so you really got to wring out everything possible. DRS, slipstream, ERS, everything down these straights to maintain the position, as Forbes looks like he's really struggling. So I'm not too sure what's happened to him then. He might have overheated his rear tyres because he is really holding up everybody now. And look at Luke Green. This man is rejuvenated after the holidays. A big fat Christmas dinner Luke Green's had, and he's putting on a big fat performance right now for everybody to see in this Red Bull. Obviously his teammate dwindling down in the likes of 15th place is not what you like to see on a Monday afternoon, but CC Brain has got a shift to put in if he wants to gain some extra points for this championship. Where is his closest rival? It is Skeven, not Skeven, it is Black Phoenix, who is next to Skeven on the medium compounds, but not looking the fastest. We've got yellow flags in sector 1. I'm not too sure what's happened. We will go back just to see. It's a Ferrari of Tico, so I think he's messed up turn 1 going through, which is such a shame, as he just straight leaves the session out of frustration. Not very nice to see from a driver of his pedigree, but Tico's had enough already. But we will continue on. 14 drivers remaining in this race as I try and catch a breath because TTG Tom is all over the shop. Forbes has bolted and really showing his dominance over these TTG guys, but here comes Luke Green. He wants to get the job done, and he's gonna get the job done. Very nice from Luke Green. He's gonna actually squeeze Forbes on the outside as well, make sure there's nothing there. CC's DNF'd. See, the championship leader is out of the race. So CC Brain controversy here as we see Luke actually letting Forbes past. I don't know if that's tactical or just stupidity from Luke Green. I think it is tactical to maintain, but he's faster than him anyway, so surely you'd want to be the lead driver. He's just going to hold you up for this middle sector. So Luke Green, I think, mind tricking himself at this point in the race, and CC is out of the Monza GP, and that is such a shame for CC Brain. He has been leading the championship for a while now, but I think he will be dethroned by Black Phoenix or even Cameron. I know there's a long way to go, and Cameron has already had an incident with the likes of Tico earlier in this race. But anything can happen here as Luke needs to dispatch Tom because he is all over the back of him. He got past him initially and now he's just sitting behind him for whatever reason. It's very compromising to his race. He's lost half a second in one sector. So Luke Green really paying the price for letting him back through. He will get back past him due to DRS as the comments come flying in. We're up to 57 comments. Keep them coming, boys and girls. I want to see it up to 7,000. Oh yeah, realistic numbers from myself. As you know, as everybody's nattering away as Luke Green gets the job done very nicely through there. Obviously Tom has no ERS whatsoever, so won't be challenging Luke at any single point during during these next couple of laps. I'm just going to go down actually to Dutch, who is all over the back of Black Phoenix. So these two, the medium runners, really keeping close in tandem with each other. We're going to give the broadcast cam a bit of a look in. It's not too bad. As Samster has bitten the dust as well. That man, oh, he's not had any practice and he is just, yeah, binned it. Oh, binned it. I'm going to go on about him because it's quite depressing and sad. A tear comes to my eye when I see drivers who get damaged or get wrecked early on in these races, because all that hard work for a week pays off, doesn't it, really? You know, all that commitment you put in. Oh, no, there's a Ferrari! Oh, and Dutch is out of the race! I was just saying, it's sad to watch people hit the dust. And right before my eyes, we're on board with the Ferrari, and he's clipped the gravel on exit and absolutely binned it in the wall at the second Lesmo. Such a shame as Skeven just hops over that curb like nothing's there. And there's another car out. It's Josh. There's the Williams out as well at Ascari. It's all kicking off here at Monza. We've got Cameron going wide, and oh my God, that was terrifying. He went for a ghosted car. But Cameron is now in the points. Toxic Tomato will be in the points when he gets past this man, and Josh has left. Yellow flags in all the sectors. There's crashes, debris everywhere. Dutch has left the session. They've all left the session, and Alfie is going neck and neck with the likes of Blackfeet, with the likes of Silasagard and Ollie Flavel. Well, I'm too busy ranting about the crashes. There's been battles happening all over the shop. Alfie did have the pace early on, but look at these guys now. It's an absolute sweat fest going through the Curva Grande. Coming into the second chicane, here we go. Alfie gets nice and tight. That's how he likes it, nice and tight. For everybody at home, whatever innuendo you want to say that is, it's up to you. But it does look like he's struggling through these mid-speed corners with the traction, second-guessing himself with the Lesmos. But Alfie just needs to keep in DRS, needs to keep his head down. He is doing a fantastic job in Formula 2 at the moment. But his teammate, of all people, is really, really going for it. Forbes, pardon me, is 2 seconds ahead of Greeny, who's actually pulling away from Tom. So Greeny's really got his head down now. But you know who else has got his head down? Syndergaard. Syndergaard's got his head down, and he's got Alfie Ollie in his sights. He's got no ERS at his disposal. Alfie has more, and also Ollie Flavel has even more as well. So it will be difficult for Silas to make a pass, especially with slipstream and DRS for Alfie as well. But here we go. Ollie's going to go to the inside. He's going to go to the outside. He's wiggling all over the place. He's like a caterpillar. What's he doing? Well, Alfie's not going to go for the move there, and I think wise decision to make as Silas nearly breaks into the back of him and makes an absolute mess of that. As it also, his teammate on the alternate strategy on the mediums is really reaping the benefits. Now, you know, the mediums are coming into their own. The soft tyres are dying, but these medium tyres are really coming into their own now in this stage of the race. It's lap 8, and we've got battles galore all over the track. Luke Green is dragging himself and Tom to the likes of Forbes at the moment. Luke Green is looking the fastest man out on track. You don't get to say that very often. Lucas Green has been rejuvenated in this second part of the season. Do not bottle it. For goodness sake, Luke, do not bottle it. He is looking a man on a mission. Forbes just having, you know, harvesting hers, slipstream DRS, very self-explanatory around this track. It's very easy to cling on, but when you go in that slowly through Ascari, and Alfie's nearly bottled it once again. Silas has had a moment as well, so Alfie is not the only one struggling with tyre wear, but he's really got to consider the strategy now because he is losing heaps of time. You know, a podium is on the cards for Alfie if he plays his cards right, but his cards at the moment are slipping and sliding away from him, so he really does need to make a decision as TTG Forbes enters the pit lane, as Tom is going to get past Luke Green into turn number 1. Very self-explanatory right there. We won't stay on board with that. We're going to go with the tyres. Yeah, we've got tyres on just to see what people are going to go for. Instead of Cigar going to go down the inside. No, doesn't want to do a Daniel Ricciardo there and completely mug Alfie off. He's going to be very sensible. Oh, it's not Silas Cigar actually. I think, yeah, Black Phoenix actually got past Silas. So Silas has made another mistake, and Alfie is now going to keep the likes of Black Phoenix behind him through the Curva Grande. Is he going to take the inside line? I'm not too sure. Black Phoenix surely won't launch it there. Yeah, very sensible for Black Phoenix. He may lose a bit of time, but it's better than losing a bit of your wing. And very, very sensible driving from these guys now. We'll just get the graphic up for you guys just to see who's made a stop. There you go. On the left-hand side, you've got Forbes, Cameron, and Tico. So Forbes, the only driver to make a stop. That's mandatory. Obviously, Tom and Tico had an incident earlier in the race which really hampered their performance there. So that's who has made a pit stop. Back to the tyres now just to see what people are on. And Alfie looks like a wriggly worm going through there. Not very comfortable indeed for the Renault driver. He's doing a fantastic job on his debut, but what do you expect when he's been in Formula 1 for a lot for the latter stages, for the earlier stages of his career this season. But anyway, I don't think he's going to peel into the pit lane. Yes, he is. He's going to peel into the pit lane with the likes of not Silas. Who just peeled into the pit lane? Stephen's going to get a place. Pitbox's going to get a place. It's Ollie Flavel and Alfie, both pitting on the same lap. We will stay on board with Alfie just to see if he does pip Ollie. I'm not too sure if he has. No, he hasn't. So we're going to go back on board now with these guys up here. So we've also got Luke and Tom, as Luke really feeling the downgrade of the tyre grip now. He's got no ERS, and we've just seen him go through that chicane like an absolute slug. As he's gone through Lesmo 1 as well like an absolute slug. So Luke really does need to maintain this pace as Cameron picks up a 3-second time penalty for disorderly driving. Not abiding by the rules. 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. Luke does still have the DRS, and he is still clinging to Tom. But he really just got to get his foot down now, because these guys have put on the mediums and are flying around this track. He may even be caught by the likes of Ollie and Alfie if they can put in a stunner of a first lap on these mediums. He's really got to put his foot down now. It must be this lap that they're going to pit. Lap 10 has to be the window that they've got to come into the pit lane. And Forbes and Greeny are both in. Will any of them speed? No. Very nice from both of them, as Black Phoenix will continue because he is on the alternate strategy. Does Silas pit? Yes, Silas is in the pit lane as well. We will go on board with Forbes. I imagine he will take provisional lead of this race back. Sorry, not provisional lead, because we've got Black Phoenix, Steven and Pitmat on the alternate strategy, but he will take net lead for the moment of the race after making his pit stop. We will see where the likes of these guys are going to funnel out, and they have lost a heap ton of time to the leader, I believe, as we just let everything recalibrate as well. You've got the likes of Ollie and Alfie. Ollie, hat, you get it? Alfie, Ollie, hat, banter. We've got the likes of Alfie and Ollie going very close to each other down the straight. Racing Point and Renault respectively. Just seeing where people are funneling out. We've got Luke. It says he's on a set of softs. He's actually on a set of mediums. That's a glitch by the game, but he's also lost time to Forbes as well. So Greeny, he's gone from being the quickest man on track to looking like a bit of a mug, making a bit of a mistake there on the soft tyres. And look, he's got no grip on these mediums. He just can't get them up to temperature. And obviously Forbes doing the correct strategy and really putting the pressure down. I know he's had 2 extra laps on the mediums and they will die to the end, but he's bridged the gap so far, and they don't have DRS and slipstream on each other, so they're really putting themselves at risk. But Forbes on the curb, nearly losing it through Ascari, so you've just got to be careful through there. Greeny looks the most stable driver through the Ascari. We're going to see more drivers try and funnel through Ascari, see what happens. Oh, Silas has bit the dust. Silas through Ascari. I thought something went wrong, so I flipped back onto him, and he is out of the Monza GP, the Italian Grand Prix. Grande Voro. Grande Voro. Very, very disappointing from him, as we see the likes of these two. Steven and Pitmat going neck and neck through Curva Grande. Is it? It's Curva Grande, or Crofty says Curva Grande. Is it going to be a grande move as he comes through here? No, it's not. Shut up, Crofty. We don't like you. As Pitmat actually picks up a 3-second penalty for that, which is really harsh because I just watched him go through that. So not very good for that man right there. But we've also got a battle here for 7th. Hopefully Alfie can not overtake, so I won't have to say Alfie Ollie, even though he just picked up a 3-second penalty for corner cutting, because obviously Alfie Ollie is his real name, if any of you didn't know. I can say Ollie Alfie, even though it sounds really strange saying it that way. Oh god. Oh no. We've got a dilemma on our hands, boys. I don't think I can continue with this comms. That's wrapping my brain around that. It's not making it a bit difficult for me to concentrate. But anyway, we have 9 drivers left in this race. Not really the numbers you're looking for, but Monza is such a technically difficult track, and some of these drivers just can't hack it. And Ollie Favell really weaving down the straight, so I'm not too sure what he's playing at. Will Alfie try and make a move going into turn 1? I'm not too sure. As Black Phoenix picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. So what is Ollie Flavell trying to do? I'm not too sure. He's weaving all over the place, maybe indicating to Alfie that he wants him to go past. I think that's the case, but I'm not too sure why. Maybe these two are going to do a bit of slipstream DRS tactic, because they are nowhere at the moment on these mediums. I know people have still got a pit, but they are the lowest of the low at the moment. And Cameron actually putting in a very good shift. He's staying in this race on the hards. He probably won't make up any more positions without any incidents, but he's putting in a very, very good shift out there in the Racing Point. As Luke Green, another driver, to pick up a penalty for his conduct on the racetrack. These guys racking up the penalties now. It's only lap 13. We're barely halfway through this race, and people already racking up the penalties. It's really, really looking detrimental for these guys. You've got to keep off the curbs, because you will either spin or get penalties, and nobody wants a penalty around any sort of circuit, especially Monza. It is the most demoralising thing on this planet. Big C, the juices were flowing. Nothing he don't race. Oh well, juices are flowing. Jay Salmon's here. Big C misses Lewis Malam on the chat. Oh yeah, fantastic. It is brilliant. Look at that. JPTV, welcome. Matt Romano, hello. Big C, Wommer, nice seeing you. AMS, lovely seeing you there as well. Benzo, nice to see you. Just giving a bit of people some shout outs as Ollie Flavel just rams into the back of the Renault. going into turn number 2 through the chicane. More comments keep coming. Oh, Louis, hello. QPR Beasts, a familiar face indeed. Very nice to see, and also Lickle making an appearance as well. Try and get through everybody's name. Bottling it too much got the best of him. I do agree profusely. Fantastic comments from these guys. Really, really. Prediction for the championship. Nah, we won't. We won't. The protagonist, I don't really know. The protagonist. Well, I would say CC, but that 15th place is looking quite lonely at the moment. So I don't. Who's gonna really throw a cork in the screw? I think Luke Green. I've got to give it to Luke Green. Greeny LFC. That's what I'm going to give it to. He's going to be the protagonist. And if he isn't, then I can't really think of anybody else. Either him or Dutch has bottled it, but Tom's looking very good. So either him or Tom. And I'm not just saying it because they're on the screen. I do think these two have had a very, very rejuvenated second part of the season. And Greeny's actually 4th in the championship, or somewhat 4th. So he's doing a great job out there anyway. So yeah, he's going to be the protagonist. Well, this is the closest fight we have out there. We've got Alfie and Ollie next to each other as well, and we've also got Pit, Matt and Skeeven, but nobody really opting for an overtake. Like I say, it's a slipstream DRS ERS fest, so you just want to sit behind, stay nice and cozy up to your BFF in front of you, and just tickle their gearbox for the rest of the race, and then make a move at the last corner, and hopefully you both blow up and everybody else gets to get past you, because that's what I want to see. I want to see some people really ringing it around this monster circuit. A lot of people taking it a bit cautiously after half the grid have already been dispatched by the likes of Ascari and the Lesmos. So hopefully F1 will see it a bit better. I believe F1 will have the same amount of incidents as F2, but there's probably more drivers on the starting grid for F1. So they're going to be that's going to be really, really fun to watch. Tune in, Owen. We'll be sorting you out there at 8 PM as Skeeven just rubs the grass as he goes through the curve of Grande, Ariana Grande. Look at that. Pit Matt doing this intelligent thing. You know, sitting behind. Well, I say doing the intelligent thing, and then he does that. So maybe not the intelligent thing from this man. And I don't see how Skeeven's got more ERS than Pit Matt when Pit Matt's been sat behind him for lap after lap after lap. But I don't know what people are playing at now. As the gap from the leaders increases even more, Black Phoenix needs to put in a bit more of a shift, I think, to get a bit closer to these guys, because he's going to be making his way through the field at some point when he pits for the softs. He's doing a fantastic job out there at the moment and will take the lead of the championship if he keeps it on the circuit. He is guaranteed points. I repeat, he is guaranteed points if he does not bin it. So that must be running through Black Phoenix's mind at the moment. I know he's currently in the lead of the race as Ollie Flannel picks up. Oh, he's actually in a pit on lap 16. So Ollie is in. Mandatory, really. I think lap 16 and lap 17 is when you want to be pitting. But yeah, Black Phoenix is in the pit lane now. So let's see where he feeds out. I think he will be in the battle between Ollie and Alfie. So it may be difficult for him to try and push. Matt Romano calling a wet race for F1. I wouldn't be surprised it is Monza. I hope that goes very well for you in ILR, as Cameron's actually come out neck and neck with Black Phoenix. Sorry, I've been looking at my phone in the comments, and Black Phoenix is actually going to get past Cameron, which I think is the most sensible thing to do. But Cameron didn't really make it easy for him going into the first chicane. But obviously the grip levels, he's been on them hard tyres for donkey's years, so he's really, really going to be struggling now on them tyres, and I think that's the most sensible thing to do is to let him go. And I say that, I've said that twice now. People have been sensible. Cameron's round, just don't retire. Come on, keep going. Good lad. There's points on offer. There is guaranteed points offer, and he knows it. That's what I like to see. Nice committed drivers. Bit of a shame going through there. Obviously it wasn't his fault that he got tangled up. Tico made an absolute hash of the parabolica early in this race, and it really did ruin his race. But let's see where Black Phoenix has feeded out. It's not too far away, but he really did need to put his foot down a bit more on the mediums. Obviously the mediums can go to the end of the race, and with light fuel loads these guys are going to be going very quickly on the mediums, and the softs do die very quickly as Pip Matt and Steven are both in the pit lane. Pip Matt does have the preference, but he's got wing damage. That's why I wasn't passing him. He's got blooming wing damage. Pip Matt fails to amaze me every single race. Something happens to that poor man. One of the cleanest drivers in F2, it must be said, in terms of smooth racing to watch, but he's blooming hell. There's always something with that man. But anyway, back to the front, or somewhat to the front. Here are your top 5 and 6. Well, guaranteed. This is the grid. This is the grid guaranteed if the places stay the same. That's the most stupidest sentence I've ever spoken in my entire life. But anyway, Forbes currently in the lead of the race by 2.6 seconds to Thomas in P2, with Luke Green following very close behind. Only 0.6 of a second to separate the top 2. No, separate second and third, sorry, not the top 2. Separate second and third, only 0.7, 0.6, 0.5, whatever you want to shout at, as Ollie Flannel nearly loses it. I know it's Flavel, I just like to call him Flannel because it's nice, it rolls off the tongue. And he just likes to soak up moisture, does Ollie Flavel. Anyway, before Ollie soaks up any moisture and ends up in the wall, Pit Matt picks up a 3-second penalty, as Alfie is going to look to break, surely, from Ollie, because they're not going to catch the guys ahead. They've wasted too much time faffing about with each other, fiddling with each other's gearboxes. They're not really going to catch these guys now. It's going to be a nice debut as Alfie lets Ollie go. So these two just having a ding-dong battle, aren't they? Doing absolutely nothing for their races. Look how slow they are for this game. You're not even gaining time. What a rubbish pairing, honestly. And through the Curva Grande, Alfie's just going to put it in low or put it in none and just sit behind the racing point. But guess what? This man's on a charge. Of course he's on a charge. When is he ever not on a charge? It's Black Phoenix, the man who will, if he doesn't crash, will take the lead of the championship, because CC Brain is bitten the dust early on in this race, and look how much he's gaining through the Lesmos. He really wants it. He's going to wring everything out of this Toro Rosso to make sure he gets past these guys quickly. He's probably not done it in the best location possible, because he's going to go through Ascari with dirty air, and there's 2 of them, which is going to make his job an absolute handful. But look at the traction difference. He actually nearly loses it, taking too much curb, having to avoid the Renault of Alfie. But now here we go, Alfie's going to stick it in low, but look at the slipstream advantage he's got. It's just fantastic. He's going to get double toe and double slipstream. He's had to compromise his exit through the parabolica. These guys are like grannies with Zimmer frames compared to Black Phoenix at the moment. And he needs the slipstream and he needs the DRS, but Alfie's hogging it. Look at that. It's going to be 3-1 to turn 1, surely. Oh my god, no, he's crashed. Oh, Black Phoenix is in the back of Oliver Bell. Oh, he's bottled it. Black Phoenix has bottled the chance of a race win. He has hit the back of Ollie Flavel, and Alfie is pissing himself. He must be pissing himself. That is the best thing I've ever seen in league racing. You have just been mugged. Oh, Black Phoenix was on a charge, really looking to put the pressure on the front runners, and the alternate strategy has bitten him in the arse. And now even the likes of Cameron Cameron might pick up another place for his efforts, because I think Black Phoenix will be wanting to pit. He must have wing damage. Yeah, he definitely has wing damage on that Toro Rosso, and he may call for unfair play or whatever, but he tried to move to the left, but obviously the toe and the slipstream just gave him too much momentum, and he just crashed straight into the back of Ollie Flavel as Alfie moved to the inside to overtake. So very odd crash, but very nice racing from these guys. There's yellow flags in sector 2, who has bit the dust through sector 2. Oh, for goodness sake, it's this man again. This man. I don't think he knows which way around he's meant to go this race. Oh, he's going to go again, isn't he? Yep, there we go. Well, he won't be picking up 8th if he keeps faffing about like that. Cameron really being a detriment to himself at this point, but he's still in the race. So that's what you want. He is still in this race, which is the main thing. You don't want to be in the barriers. You are in this race, and he is going to get some points at the end of it, even though he's had one of the worst performances I've ever seen since last week at Hungary. So Cameron not having the best start to 2020, but really showing some good heart out there on the racetrack, as we see Alfie, bloody hell, having to slow down so much because Ollie's such a donkey through that sector. I think tyre wear's really come into play now with these guys. But yeah, I think obviously for a 9-car race or an 8-car race, I don't think Cam's in the race at the moment. It's not been too bad. I've been trying to keep it as entertaining as possible for you guys. We've got 130 comments in the chat, so thank you for your input, if it's obviously helpful and not detrimental. And thank you to everyone that's been tuned in as well. I don't think I give you guys enough credit for actually watching me for an hour and a half. I don't think I want to listen to my own voice for an hour and a half, let alone somebody else's. So yeah, thanks for sticking around. But yeah, the main battle I think out here is Luke Green. He knows he's got a podium. He is guaranteed a podium if he can just keep it on the rubber. These guys obviously wanting to push for the win, but sometimes when you're not winning, you need that momentum, you need that podium, you need that boost, you need that Lion energy bar, you know what I mean, or that Boost energy bar, or a Yorkie, just to give you that extra boost for the rest of the day. You know, the sugar levels just to increase, make a bit of euphoria as these two run through the gravel and over the curbs. But I know what Luke's planning, and I think Thomas has the same strategy in mind. He's trying to drag him along to get closer to Forbes, but I don't think that's what you want. You know, you're guaranteed a podium at this stage of the race, and you know, second is probably the best you're going to get, Luke, and I don't think you want to be looking for first. I never normally say that, you know, the never give up mentality is what people love to see, but when you're getting penalties at Ascari, oh, for goodness sake, he always does this. He just bottles it. Luckily, fucking Moisture Boy, Ollie Flannel and Alfie Ollie are faffing about as well, so they're not going to get close to him to even affect the penalty system, because they're 7.2 behind. So, you know, Luke, you've got to take second now. He's got 2 penalties. I know Forbes has 1, but I don't think Tom has any, so Tom actually might be winning this race. So Tom's got all the cards in his corner, as he's actually going to let Luke pass, which is the best thing, I think, for Tom, because I think Greeny is the fastest man out there. I do think Greeny has got the grip. He's got the mentality sorted. He's just been silly when it comes to penalties. I know it's hard to keep it on the racetrack sometimes, especially around a track like Ascari. A track like Ascari, eh? Bloody hell. A track like Monza. And obviously Ascari being the main culprit for penalties, and also this chicane as well. It's very, very dodgy, especially that second part, that right-hand kink. You can really run over it and get penalised for that. But you know, sometimes you've just got to tone it down. If you lose a tenth of a second a lap, it's better than getting a 3-second penalty, because when you accumulate so many penalties like this man has, there's no point finishing second place, because you ain't going to stay there, because Ollie's actually coming as well. So Greeny's he's going to lose a podium at this rate. He needs to put his foot down, and I hope somebody tells him on the radio that he needs to put his foot down, because he is in danger zone. Welcome to the danger zone, Luke Green. I wasn't going to sing it, so don't get your hopes up. Oh, I should just have a look at some of the comments that I've been saying in the chat. Yeah, Matt, I couldn't have said it better myself. Obviously the F4 commentator tune in on a Sunday night at 8 PM to see not just F4 but F3 as well. I believe Jamie does do F3, but I think he was absent for Hungary last time out. Obviously Matt Romano, that man, does F4 at 8 PM as well, so tune into him and you'll see the likes of me going around this racetrack, and you can see how many penalties I pick up around Monza, and you can criticise me all you want, because that's what I like, criticism. I relish in it. I'm the bad guy. Lovely, lovely. But yeah, we've still got 15 viewers to this stage of the race. It's really nice to see. Normally a lot of people, you know, congregate over an F1, but it's nice to see a lot of people sticking for F2. Obviously F1 is the pinnacle league, but I think a lot of people do love a bit of F2 as Tom just goes round the outside of Luke. I think more of a tactical move from Luke Green's perspective, just kind of let him go there, but you've got to be careful on that Ascari curb. Luke, you're giving me a heart attack, for goodness sake, get off them curbs. as the tyre wear obviously dwindles from these guys now. They're just not putting in the times necessary. Forbes has been an absolute beast out there in first place, but it's all to do with the penalties. I am probably one of the only commentators that doesn't show the penalties to make it a bit more interesting for the viewers. I'll pick up on the mythical at the bottom of the screen, but I will not go in the race director and list them out, because I think it's more interesting for the viewer if they can just let the race unfold and just see the drama that happens in the latter stages of the race. You know, that's uncertainty for the viewer. It makes it a bit more interesting. You know, place your bets right now. Who do you think is going to win? I think it will be Tom, but don't go off my word. I'm an idiot. I talk for an hour and a half about nonsense, so don't go off my word. But yeah, here we go. Luke Green. He's right in the back of Tom again. Actually, we're going to go on board with somebody else. Tico's not in the race. Let's. Who's not been in the spotlight? Pitmat or Skeven? They near anybody? I think Skeven's actually catching Alfie. So Alfie really does need to be careful. But Skeven's got a few penalties, I believe, so it won't be there. Oh, Pitmat. I need to stop going on board with Pitmat. Every time I go on board with him, he's in the gravel. So I'm not going to go on board with you, Pitmat. Actually, no. We'll go on board to the end of this lap just to see what happens. But after that, I'll switch to Cameron for the lap 26, and then the last lap can go to Forbes. Because actually, Tom's put his foot down a bit, and it's actually catching him. It's a bit late, but 2 laps remaining, and he could, and that's a corner cut. That is definitely a corner cut from Pitmat. He's kept it nicely for Ascari though, so he's keeping on going. 7th place isn't too bad at all. As Cameron just crosses the line right now, and he's actually been lapped. So yeah. So he's talking to Marto, the man 3rd place in their championship. I'm not too sure if that will change. I think Luke might jump him after this great performance he's had today. But that man's in 3rd and he's been lapped. So it's not been the best of afternoons for him, has it really? As Forbes has actually bit the gravel. Oh, but TTG Tom's also bit the gravel. They're all in the gravel. So as Forbes, actually, is he going to make another mistake actually up front? We're going to stay on board with him. Hopefully the commentators' curse can make this a bit more interesting in the latter stages. But he has been on them tyres 2 laps older than anybody else out there on the circuit that is close to him. And by that, I mean Luke Green and I mean Tom. And here we go then. Luke's going to be looking for 2nd place, but Tom's going to be looking for 1st. Here we go, through Ascari for the penultimate time for these guys. Tom picks up a 3-second penalty on the penultimate lap. It's all to play for now, boys. It's all to play for. I don't think he had a penalty. And oh, it's heating up now for the final lap of this race. Can Luke Green dispatch Tom? Can Tom get close enough to Forbes? Forbes looks finished. His tyres look dead, but I don't think Tom's going to get DRS down this straight. He's got to get close enough down the back straight to try and have a go into Ascari, or maybe into the Parabolica for the final lap. But is he going to have DRS and slipstream? I'm not too sure. Luke Green, here he comes now. He's got DRS. He's got all the DRS in the world. Is he going to challenge Tom down the straight? Here he comes on the inside. Don't go for it, Luke. It's too late. It is too late. And he's hit him. He's hit him. Oh, and they've fucking made a car park. And you donkey movements from Luke Green as he's bought. What are you doing? Oh, for goodness sake. Oh, he's ruined the atmosphere. He's ruined the tent. Oh, pay off. Oh, rubbish. Rubbish. Anyway, let's go on board with somebody who won't bottle a chance at getting a podium place. Coming to Skeven now. I'm joking. Skeven always bottles it. But will Skeven catch Alfioli? I'm not too sure. We will go on board with the leaders in a second. I just want to see how close Skeven gets to the back of these guys. As if you are still here, thank you very much once again for remaining in this race. It hasn't been the most entertaining like Hungary last time out, but it has been one to savour, hasn't it? Like a fisherman's friend sweet if you're a bit ill. A nice comforting sensation in the mouth. If you know what that is, then fucking well done. But Alfie's got an absolutely horrendous exit, but we're going to have to go on board with Forbes because Forbes' tyres are finished. He's got no ERS and he's got nothing left. This man has driven immaculately from start to finish. It's going to be TTG Forbes across the line for the race win, but will it take Tom? No, Tom gets 2nd. Will Greeny get 3rd? I'm not too sure because Ollie Flavel is going to cross the line and Luke Green loses a podium. Rubbish Luke Green. He loses a podium at the final and Skeven can't take Alfioli, and on his debut Alfioli gets 5th in the Renault. Fantastic performance from him, but biggest bottle goes to Luke Green. A good performance in P4, but what were you doing Absolute bottle job once again. This man cannot catch a break. It's been a good rejuvenated performance. 2 4th places for Luke Green in the space of 2 races, so you can't be too upset. But when you've got a podium in your hands and you've crushed it so frequently, so often, it's a big shame. And a big shout out to Black Phoenix, who did maintain that 8th place that he obviously didn't deserve after the spin. But only 8th, so the title is still up in the air. We've got Black Phoenix only picking up 8th place and Cameron only picking up 9th. So CC Brain, his DNF will not hamper him at the top of the table. Obviously Black Phoenix will take the reins as the F2 championship leader, but it's not by the deficit you may think. As TTG Forbes, it's his time to shine as the champagne gets sprayed everywhere, in people's eyes, in their faces, in their shoes, in their mouths, all over the shop. Nice and lovely and moist. Fantastic. Brilliant. Also congratulations to Tom as well, and obviously Ollie Flannel, who actually put in some really good pace in the latter stages of this race to really bring up a podium. And Luke Green must be in tears after that. He had all the potential. He was the quickest man out on track, and he ended up bottling it once again with penalties and a silly move down to turn 1. And well, when you see it once, it can be classed as a mistake. When you see it multiple times, it has to be classed as there's something wrong. And unfortunately, it will be P4 in the grid and P4 finish for that man. But there you have it. Your top 10 as it stands. Obviously top 9, because Tico will not get any points because he did not finish the race. I think he left in frustration after taking out Cameron, who resiliently carried on to the end after spinning multiple times throughout the entire Italian Grand Prix. But there you have it, folks. That is the end of the Italian Grand Prix. And I normally do podium interviews, but if I'm being honest with you, a 9-car finish, I don't think it really warrants me spending more time. And I've also got a lovely dinner with jacket potatoes and roast potatoes and a pork chop waiting for me, so I don't really want to. It sounds very professional, I know. But yeah, thank you to everybody that's tuned in for Formula 2. Formula 1 is also on broadcast right now with Owen as its commentator through hopefully the entirety of the remainder of the season. I'm not too sure what his plans are. He doesn't like co-commentators, that man. He really doesn't. So I might stick my nose in there maybe once or twice in a season, see if he likes my company. But yeah, that's been the Italian Grand Prix. Unfortunate. Commiserations to everybody who did crash out, but also congratulations to the top 3 for a fantastic performance, especially Forbes, driver of the day, 100%. But yeah, I'll be back next week. It will be round 10 next week at 7 PM. I'll let you guess what track it is, to keep you guessing. I love when the viewers are guessing. But yeah, I'll be Lordy-MK or Lordy Boy or Lewis or whatever you want to call me. And this has been the Italian Grand Prix. I've got some silly statistics all over my screen. I'm not so sure what that's about. But yeah, I hope you all have a nice day and take care.